morning and welcome to Today in LA. I'm Mike Amos. He's Billy Rice Jr. as we start a Wednesday, August the 26th, and I mentioned Billy Rice Jr. That's all I ever knew him was Billy Rice, not Bill Rice.
That's right. Everybody that grew up with Dad calls him Billy. And then at some point, I guess he became Bill. To my mom, he was always Billy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that, though. You know that my little brother Bobby now goes by Bob.
Bob, yeah.
My friend Candy Whitman now goes by Candace.
Yeah.
So you get older, you just change your name to something else. My daughter is Maggie, but I wouldn't be surprised if one day she goes by Margaret.
Yeah. The lot going on, ladies and gentlemen, with the vote, and we're going to be giving you that in just a few moments as we get ready to go through Hump Day. We're just going over from one side to the other, heading toward the weekend. But we do have some results I know a lot of folks are waiting to hear, and I'll go over it right now. Bill Rice Jr., you help me with it if I can.
Okay, all right.
Of course, in the mayor's race in Troy, it wasn't even close as Jason Reeves, the incumbent, this will be working on his third term as mayor of the city of Troy. He won his election 2,448 votes to 871 over challenger Tyrone Red Moultrie, and congratulations to him for
that's right.
being a part of
anybody that ventures out and tries to run for office. I admire him.
And then Council District 4.
We'll
bring him in. Come on in. Come on in. Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on?
All right. Of course, we're going over the polls. Jason Reeves wins his election for a third term as mayor of the city of Troy with 2,448 votes.
It's going to be hard to beat Jason Reeves as mayor of Troy. You might see a Jimmy Lunsford run. You might see a 30 years of Reeves at mayor, which is a good thing in my opinion.
No question about it. He's done a great job. Of course, he got 74% of the votes, outvoting Tyrone Red Moultrie, 2,448 to 871. In District 4, council member Stephanie Baker defeated challenger Caleb Dawson 618 to 343. So she wins without a runoff. Well, it was just the two of them. So congratulations to Stephanie, another term as city councilwoman. In Brundage, a big race down there, the incumbent Isabel Boyd making a real statement here, and former mayor Jimmy Ramage could be in a runoff depending on the two provisional ballots. So we're going to have to find out here. Boyd led Ramage handily, 429 to 201 in the balloting to win. Boyd would need 50% plus one of the votes in that provisional ballot. I'm going to have to wait and see what's next, Boyd said. I thank everyone that supported me for re-election. I might be out ringing their doorbells again. In District 3 race, Ross had 73 votes to 54 for Henry Everett and the 16 for Angie Kelly. So Ross currently has 51% of the votes, and we're talking about this is for this is Ross, and I don't know where she came with this article here, but congratulations to her. Let's see, will she be in a runoff?
Barely avoided it.
Just barely avoided it, and we'll move on down from this. And District 1 race was close with incumbent Betty Baxter with 60 votes. She will face Gerald Holland, who had 54 votes in the runoff. So that runoff will be, I want to say October 6th. I'm not positive, but I'll look at that in a minute. She will face Alexandria Griffin in the runoff. We're talking about here's District 2, Letitia Hall led the voting for District 2 Council seat with 71 votes. She will face Alexandria Griffin in a runoff. Griffin had 43 votes. Griffin was appointed to the council seat upon the death of her dad, Arthur Griffin, a longtime council member. So now we got to look at the incumbent, Byron Gaynor, and we're going to flip over here real quick. Won the District 4 council seat over Paula Hall, 140 to 66 votes. So that's without a runoff. Marilyn Rogers defeated James Jones and incumbent Christopher Foster for the District 5 council seat in Brundage. Rogers had 114 votes to 61 for Jones and 23 for Foster. Again, in Brundage, District 5 challenger Marilyn Rogers won with 114 votes, defeating incumbent Christopher Foster with 23 votes, and challenger James Jones with 61 votes. So that is your district seats, and of course we've got an election still going to find out. This morning, I reckon we would find out if Isabel Boyd would be going in without a runoff. But right now, it's going to be real close between the longtime Mayor Jimmy Ramage against the incumbent Isabel Boyd. What's your feeling here, Rice?
Well, it sounds like even if there is a runoff, if Mrs. Boyd can just get her people to come to the polls again, she's safe. That's kind of surprising to me that she won by so much over Jimmy, who's we all love Jimmy Ramage.
Yeah. Well,
and we appreciate Miss Boyd too.
Yeah, well, no question about it. And this.
So as far as what did you say the numbers were in the Troy mayor race again? How many people went out and voted?
Well,
3,500?
we don't. Well, right now, if you counted it, it would be probably right at 2,500 to 8. That would be.
How many people voted? About 3,400, 3,400?
3,400, 3,500, somewhere in there.
Is that considered a really poor voter turnout?
I don't know.
For a town of what, 18, 20,000 people?
Yeah, so
I would say it was an average turnout, probably.
Yeah.
I saw where Dear Stan Hill, the great Duncan Lindsay, was live on Facebook last night, putting the results out there. So I was able to keep up with everything.
I tell you, he did a great job too. And again, the Mayor Jason Reeves will go in for his third term as mayor of the city of Troy with a convincing 2,500 vote to 871 vote for over Red Moultrie. Of course,
we really have to thank the Reeves family. They've really served the city of Troy well with the great Homer Reeves and then Grady Reeves, the longtime police chief and police officer, and then of course you got Jason Reeves now as mayor. So that's been a really good family for the Troy community serving them.
No question about it. And again, congratulations to Jason, and expecting another outstanding term of office for him. And of course, what I can't understand is that Isabel Boyd led Ramage 429 to 201 in the balloting to win. Boyd would need 50% plus of one vote.
Yeah, but there's provisional votes that hadn't been counted apparently. So if those are enough of those votes are for Ramage, it would be under 50% she won by.
Well, did they report? I mean, there were 5 people running. Did they not give the vote totals for the other 3 candidates? That's where you could tell the percentage.
You're right. You don't see it in the messenger this morning. But again, Isabel Boyd, the incumbent, has a big lead. But the big issue is who is going to, whether or not this will be a runoff between former mayor, a long-time mayor, I want to say at least 30 years or more, for Jimmy Ramage, I would say maybe even 40 years.
I'm going to use some of the math in algebra that Miss Morgan taught me. How many votes did Isabella have? 400 and...
Isabella Boyd had 429 compared to 201.
All right, so that's 630 votes right there. If Isabella's going to have 50%, she would need, to get 50%, you would divide that into 800 people voting. So the question is, were there 170 votes split up among those other three candidates? We didn't get their results. There would have to be, if there's more than 800 people that voted, Jimmy's in the runoff. If there were not more than 800 people, he's not in the runoff.
Yeah.
If y'all followed me. I didn't follow myself.
Well, Brundage, for the council seat, a lot of participation, and we went over it quickly, but we'll go back over it. And,
yeah, you don't have to go back over it. You've done more than enough over this the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. Well, we want to make sure, though.
There was a no-hitter by the White Sox pitcher last night.
Really?
First no-hitter in baseball so far during this season.
Exactly.
I mean, how much baseball? I mean, I know you guys don't watch a whole lot of it, but I mean, as far as baseball going on, NBA playoffs going on right now, you got Mickelson shot a 64 yesterday, coming off a 61 in the first round. He's up by 4 going into his first Champions Tour event, so they'll play today, and he'll have a chance. You know, they only play 3 rounds, so he'll have a chance to win his first Champions Tour victory today. But you got so much going on in sports right now, and you got football starting up. I mean, this is really amazing what's going on in sports right now.
Charles Henderson plays at home Friday. My wife said be sure to point out it's Senior Day. They're going ahead and having Senior Day
man,
night. So in case they,
How crazy is that?
well, in case they,
Sad to think about, they already had to honor the seniors just in case.
just in case, you got it. Just in case the season gets pull the cord on the season. So it's Charles Henderson versus Catholic of Montgomery. They'll honor the senior football players and cheerleaders and band members Friday night. So
Yeah.
The stadium's plenty big enough to social distance, right? So go and support the Trojans.
On a sad note, I'd like to report that an old friend of mine died over the weekend. Joe Dotson, ladies and gentlemen, grew up right here in Troy. His daddy was O.W. Dotson, and his mom and dad. His dad was longtime principal and former superintendent of education of the Troy City Schools. And of course, Joe and I grew up, and Joe was a couple of years older than me, but boy, what a football player. He, along with Jerry Rose and Bob McGee and Richard Williford, Jimmy Norman, had a real good football team that senior year. Of course, Joe, like I said, grew up right over here on Murphy Street, and had a brother named Alan Dotson. And Joe lived in Jackson, Mississippi for many years, was a stockbroker with Merrill Lynch. He teamed with his childhood friend and cohort, Bob McGee.
Really?
Bob, of course, they were big friends in high school, and Bob went to Alabama, and Joe went to Auburn, and was a Sigma Nu at Auburn. And then he and Bob went together and formed a Merrill Lynch office in Jackson, Mississippi, and were there for several years, very successful. And of course, Joe was 74 years old, and like I said, a super football player. He was one of those guys that weighed about 160 soaking wet, if he weighed that much, but hard-nosed and was a running back, linebacker. And buddy, if you heard a noise, it was usually Joe Dotson making a hit. And again, quite a...
Randy Brown posted something on Facebook about that. He was really upset. He said that was his childhood best friend.
Well, the sad thing about it, there was a little group of them that built the cabin on Crow Hill. You've heard of that, Mike?
Yeah. We used to store stuff in the cabin, and we'd go in there as little kids. Probably shouldn't have been in there, but that was near the lake.
Well,
he built that.
The cabin was Bob McGee. There was Johnny Crow, Johnny Andrews, Jerry Rose, the great Jerry Rose as far as a football player, Joe Dotson, And there was about 5 or 6 of those guys that built that cabin. And the street, Old Cabin Road in Crow Hill, is named after
that cabin.
That cabin that they had.
They must have done a good job.
And they had a big time funning, but man, there are not many of them left. Johnny Crow, we lost him a few weeks ago, and of course Bob McGee over a year ago, and he was living in Jackson too, and he and Joe at one time were partners in business, and but I'm sad to say Joe Dotson is dead at the age of 75 years old.
I'm very sorry. I've always heard of Joe Dotson my whole life.
And of course, Joe, his daddy, O.W. Dotson, was a longtime principal, and he and Helton Fowler were best of friends, and they loved to hunt, fish, and support Troy University baseball with their best friend Chase Riddle.
And part of that mafia.
That's right. That's right. A part of that started that mafia, and again, long time Troy resident Joe Dotson is dead at the age of 75, and a good-looking guy too. Now I'll tell you,
well, it sounds like he had a great life.
He had a lot of friends,
great
boys
family,
and girls.
Great friends.
Yeah, you're right. And again, I'm sort of a history buff and sort of a, what should you say?
Historian?
No, well, not a historian, but are you back on the line?
Yeah, I'm on.
Things like what happened 50 years ago means something to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And we hope we always have somebody like you.
Nostalgic, or what would be the word?
Towns need people like you. My dad was the same way. Margaret Face Farmer. Because your history of your town is so important. You don't need to lose that.
Why can you remember stuff better 50 years ago than what you can remember what happened to you yesterday?
That's the way the mind works.
Well, you're right. I stunned a guy the other day, and he wanted to know the starting lineup for the 55 Philadelphia Phillies.
And you rattled it off.
In red and white, I can see Puddinhead Jones over at first base. Richie Ashburn in center field, Kurt Simmons or Robin Roberts on the mound. See, Smokey Burgess, I think, was the catcher. Well, it's pretty hard to get the Phillies now, but Puddinhead was the first baseman. I can't remember that many more Phillies, but
I'm nothing nowhere in your league, but when I was 10 to 12, I could have rattled off the starting lineups of about 3 or 4 teams in the major league, and I would have a hard time naming one player on 5 teams today. I might be able to name a couple for the Braves. There's that Trout guy that played for the Angels I've heard of, not many.
One thing that I do take a little pride in, I could go down Murphy Street, Orange Street, Fairview Street, Maple Street, Elm Street, all over down Troy. And not only could I tell you who lived there, I could tell you what the daddy did.
I know it.
And what I'm saying, a lot of these people were 30 years older than me.
That's funny that everybody could do that, though. Yeah. Once upon a time, when I was playing sports growing up, the way that your teammates and classmates would mess with you is they'd call you by your mama's name. Yeah. Everybody knew your mama's name.
Well, after supper, everybody went out on the front porch, and the kids played kick the can or ragtag. Of course, they played ragtag at the pool. Did you ever play ragtag?
Yeah.
With a rag and throwing it and hitting somebody?
Yeah.
And it would be your turn after you got hit. Mm-hmm. But that ragtag was a big game.
Or Marco Polo, which I did not like Marco Polo at all. It scared me.
Well, and we played a game called 1, 2, 3, Wee Willie Buckhawk. And you had to grab him and say 1, 2, 3, Wee Willie Buckhawk. And then the mamas and the daddies were sitting on the front porch, many of them smoking cigarettes. That was a big to do. Every on Nestec and different shows that I've been watching lately, everybody smoked cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes. But now it would make me sick to be in a room with cigarettes.
Have you seen those old World War II films where you'll see General Eisenhower talking
everybody
to the troops?
With a cigarette. Yeah.
Eisenhower always had a cigarette in his
Oh
hand.
yeah, exactly, and you wonder why.
Well,
he had heart
that,
disease, you know?
that war and the stress of his job drove him to smoke. Probably chain smoke.
No question about it. But it is a Wednesday, and it is the day after the election day, and Mike Amos is calling in from a beautiful, beautiful part of this country, Mike, and Grayton Beach, Florida. Is it still people going by on bicycles?
Yeah, I mean, I've got walkers this morning. I've got people on bicycles. It was beautiful down here yesterday. It's just the humidity was just horrible because of the hurricanes out in the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, it was so hot. Of course, looks like Laura, that's what they're saying, could be a Category 4. So Lake Charles, Louisiana, parts of Houston, Texas. I mean, it could be really bad. So hopefully it'll stay where it is right now and not strengthen to a 4. That'd be a major, major hurricane.
You know, that's all on I-10, you know, Lake Charles, and then, of course, Baton Rouge is another one of those groups that could be hit pretty hard. Could disrupt practice at LSU.
Looks like Troy Athletics is promoting come pick up your tickets and hang out with T-Roy and watch old Troy Trojans football game at the ballpark. Apparently you can go to Biscuit Stadium on Thursday, August 27th at Riverwalk Stadium from 4 to 9. They'll have basically T-Roy, I guess, different events going on and showing old Troy football games at the ballpark in Montgomery. So
in Montgomery.
Somebody locally to go up and be a part of.
All right, now this is Saturday. Well, wait a minute. This will be on a Thursday, won't it? What would it be?
Yeah, Thursday, August the 27th from 4 to 9. Football season season tickets pickup locations, and apparently they're going to have an event there as well.
There, and now where can they pick up their tickets here in Troy? You know, I bought my tickets a couple of months ago.
I mean, they wouldn't send them to your house. They wouldn't mail them.
Well, we'll find out to see. But where do you go to the tickets office at Troy, or where do you pick them up here?
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so too. And of course, our show.
USA Today, this is interesting. Active teams only in the Sun Belt. So, you know, you've got two conferences not playing. You've got the Pac-12, then you got the Big Ten, and then you have the Mountain West, and you have the MAC, and they're not playing. So, preseason rankings, USA Today has now released another rankings, and it's basically, you know, including the teams that are not playing, only including the teams that are playing. So now Appalachian State is ranked 13th in USA Today.
Whoa, that's the highest ever. That's got to be highest ever, Mike.
Yeah, for Sun Belt.
Louisiana Lafayette is 22. You got Arkansas State 33. You got Georgia Southern 40. Troy comes in at 49. South Alabama 55. Georgia State 63. ULM 65. Coastal Carolina 69. And Texas State 73. That's high praise that South Alabama would go up to 55, considering they won 2 games and 3 games under Campbell, but I guess they're going to be better. Do it that way when you're missing so many teams not playing.
And they're going to be better, no question about it. You know, I tell you what, you watch South Alabama with the new stadium, and that gives it just a whole new atmosphere, you know, of college football and so forth. When this virus is over, look out for South Alabama as being one of the up and coming schools.
And UAB is going to have their new stadium not this year, but next year, right?
Yeah, no question about it.
The great news for Carlton Marshall, he is voted by the Sun Belt Conference as the preseason All-Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. So high praise for Marshall. Of course, he's already a Walter Camp All-American.
And that's
a kid that walked on from McGill Tulane keeps on getting more and more praise.
I want to say a Walker Camp All-American is maybe the highest, most prestigious award ever for a Troy football player, Mike. We're talking about all of college football, and he's a Walker Camp honoree.
First team, wasn't he?
Yeah, also preseason first team All-Sun Belt's Kalen Geiger, the wide receiver. Second team is Reggie Todd. This kid last year played really good at safety for Troy. Dale Pettis, preseason All-Sun Belt, and then also preseason All-Sun Belt is Will Cholo, the great defensive lineman from Georgia.
Well, yeah, exactly. Right now, Troy is, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to I'm saying loaded on offense and defense, especially on offense where you're looking at your running backs, your wide receivers, and your quarterbacks. A lot of depth, and that has a lot to. I think depth is going to be a real important thing during this crisis we're going through too.
Yep.
Also, Troy has announced the time for the La Monroe game. Anybody out there that's wanting to go to that game, it'll be at 6 p.m. on September the 5th at the Vet.
6 p.m. and there's going to be a lot of stipulations, or a lot of requirements you must meet. Also, I think they're going to try to put as many people in the stands as possible. We know this, that the cheerleaders and the marching band will have to stay in the south end of the stadium and do all their performances from the bleachers. They are not allowed to be on the playing field itself. So, but what a pageantry it will be to see the Sound of the South covering up all of the south end zone. Won't that be impressive?
I mean, just the novelty and the strangeness of it all.
And the noise coming from that end, you know.
It's worth checking out. It's going to be a game unlike any other. I can't wait. 6 o'clock. I mean, the second half.
I would have an issue wearing a mask and sitting. I mean, Troy Stadium's big enough. I think you could definitely feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know. In the stadium clubs where we've always sat over the years, you know, going in and out of there, I might that day just stay out in the bleachers, not go inside. But I guess it's just.
Well, I guess you can pull your mask down when you're drinking your water or Coke, so you're going to get to be able to breathe.
You know, like we've always had a central.
I'm going to let you breathe a little, I guess.
As the alumni group has always had its own place at the alumni office, but that is no longer. Right now, the situation is that you go and set up your own personal tent and gather with your own people prior to the game, but will not be, it will be at least no larger than 9 people.
But they're trying to do it, unlike Alabama and all these other schools that are just saying no tailgating whatsoever. So,
but it won't be any formal big tent like it's been in the past, and the doors will be pretty much shut. No public facilities at the tailgate area there, where
like no public facilities, like no Porta Johns or anything like that.
Yeah, there'll be Porta Johns all over the place.
How many season tickets do you think Troy University has sold right now? It'd be interesting to get that information from the athletic department. Then you can have an idea of the size of the crowd the first game. You have to have season tickets to go to that game. You can't walk up and buy them.
Well, the students will all be offered tickets. The students will. They're going to take care of the students first, and of course, I'm sure there'll be a priority list of season ticket holders.
Right now, as we speak, what's your best guess for crowd that first game? Over 10,000?
Yeah.
Boy, if they could get 10,000, I think that'd be great. Yeah, I would think it'd be that many.
You know, it's everything's flipped on its head. In the past, if you had 13,000 people in the 30,000 seat stadium, you say, oh, that's embarrassing. But now you'll say, hey, that's good. That's pretty good.
But I think that'd be great. They're not mentioning any television. I would imagine ESPN Plus. They play all the Sunbelt games, which is
well, that's a prime time, 6 o'clock.
By streaming, it's $4.99 a month to do ESPN Plus, so I'd be able to watch it.
Well, I'll make another point that there ain't going to be any Alabama and Auburn games competing with this Troy game either. So,
I mean, having a conference game to start the season in the Sun Belt is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, there's a good chance it'll be televised by somebody because it's a September the 5th game, and of course that game, like you said, is on prime time right now, 6 o'clock. But it could change for TV, so that's something. But now we're looking at, ladies and gentlemen, just a week from this coming Saturday is a football weekend in Troy and Pike County, Alabama.
I want to see these players. I mean, Michael Amos and Mike Amos know more about them than most people. And I mean, from what I'm hearing, I want to see these guys play.
All right, we'll put you on hold a second, Mike. We got a call coming in. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, this is Matt. Max. How are you this morning?
Max Howell is calling in from Fulton, Mississippi. Hold on a minute, Max. Let me get this all straight. Is everything going good this morning?
Doing great. Yes, raining.
Yeah, I know it's been raining over here a lot, too. Hold on a second.
Max might get some of that hurricane.
All right, we got both of you in, Mike and Max. Is that right?
Yeah, you got me.
And, of course, Max Howell calling in from Fulton.
Yep. Welcome back, Mike. I can hear you this morning.
Yeah, I'm actually on the phone with you. I'm not on Zoom, so we can actually have a conversation.
And we might try going up back on Zoom later on in our show just to check some of the changes that we made.
Yeah,
And
I told Steve we'll do it in the morning. I got to take the girls to school, so I'll be dipping out a little early today.
yeah, okay. But Max, I know you've been busy as a bee, man. Everybody wants to know what you think about the coming football season.
Are we going to have one?
You know, yeah, it's going to start. I don't think there's any doubt it's going to start. I think after that, guy, I think it's going to be week by week as to who plays. Because this thing is not under control by any means. I think the kids coming back to campus, particularly, with the CC schools, I think we're going to see a spike in the numbers. I think I've tried to keep up with maybe 3 or 4 of the different, I did a show in Gainesville last night, talking with Brother Martin down there about what Dan Mullen was doing, and they're trying to do much like they are in Alabama and Ole Miss and State. They're trying to keep the kids contained, and most of their classes are doing virtual. They aren't mixing the football players on campus with the regular students, and I think that's smart. So I think that's the way it'll start, and then how the crowds go, guys. That's every stadium is going to be different. I mean, you guys know right there, Troy's different right now from everything I've seen going on in other units.
Yeah, we were just talking about that before you got on the air. The Troy is saying, come on, and they're even going to have tailgating, in a little smaller way.
Well, guys, that when they shut the Grove down at Ole Miss, that's their focal point.
That's right.
And they shut that down completely this week. They announced it. There'll be no tailgating anywhere on campus. They're not just taking, close around the stadium. So, I think that each school will have some of those decisions they have to meet, and that may change.
Yeah.
If the numbers go down. But Mississippi State now leads the state of Mississippi leads the nation in new cases. They had over 900 yesterday, new cases in the state of Mississippi. So, it's up close to, I think, 80,000. That's per population, not the total numbers.
Well, University of Alabama had I think they had something like 27,000 students were
29,000.
29,000 were actually tested, and over 500 were positive.
Yeah. Well,
what is that? 1% we were talking about?
Yeah, 1%.
Something like that. Yeah.
What's happening over here at the high school level? They shutting down whole high schools over here. They shut down Biloxi High School yesterday. Not just in that they had 3 or 4 smaller towns around me up here that they shut a whole football program. They tested 81 kids in one high school football, and every one of them tested positive.
Oh no.
They had 100 games in Alabama, Max. I mean, has Mississippi started playing high school football yet? I mean, Alabama. Everybody played last week.
Yeah, they start this week.
That is fascinating that they tested every football player and every one of them was positive. That tells you how incredibly contagious the thing is. But it also tells me that these people aren't really sick. They wouldn't even be playing football. They just had to get a test, and so I mean it's incredibly contagious, but it's really not affecting the people.
They become carriers. Is what they do.
Right.
Because we all are different internally, and we don't react to different. Some people get the flu shot and get the flu, and some get the flu shot and don't, and some don't get the flu shot, and it's okay. Because all of us, internally different. I think that the identification is what the frightening part is. They don't know, and I've made this statement before, that, every year, being involved with high school and college athletics as I have for 50 years, I hate to say it, you're going to lose 2 or 3 kids. Mainly because they can slip through the physical. They'll have some underlying health problems we didn't know about. So what frightens me, though, is the surge of social media with this thing, if I will say to you again, I said it last week, you let a university or high school lose a kid and they blame it on the virus, they'll shut the whole program down.
Yeah.
That's what frightens me is the misinformation I think that's still out there.
Here's what I think: if they, they're playing football in Alabama because the kids are healthy, they're not sick. But I think if you did test every one of them, you'd get the same results that you're getting in Mississippi. There'd be huge percentages that are testing positive.
Yeah.
So the key is really don't test them. Now the good news is once you've tested positive, once you've had it, 10 or 12 days, you're going to take another test and you're going to be negative, and you should have immunity for several months at least, and you're not going to get the virus. I say go ahead and let everybody, these young people, get it and get it over with.
I don't know about that.
Yesterday, though, I think in the United States, there was 39,000 new cases. So the cases are really coming down nationally. They're still your hot spots, but that's 4 straight days it's been in the 30s, which is a good sign. I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were 70,000, 72,000 cases a day, and the death total is down to around 450 a day, too. So it looks like, I don't know if everybody's wearing masks or social distancing. Something's changed to have it come down finally.
Well, I'm not real sure, Michael, that some of that is not the testing results. Because, we've already seen major mistakes around the country, different areas where they send the test off and it'd be positive, and they take a test 2 days later, they'd be negative, or vice versa. So, I think some of that fits into that. And I found it interesting this past weekend. Of all the games played in Alabama, the one they picked out had one thing to do with the team on the field. It was the fans. That was at Fairhope in Spanish Fort.
Yeah.
Even up here, the news was they showed the pictures of the people. The stands were practically full, no mask. Everybody was close proximity, no distancing. And in fact, I think in that game the principal came on. I think they played in Fairhope. Principal came on the PA system and said, "Hey, if you don't put your mask on, we'll shut the game down." So those are the kind of things
they're gonna have to do it, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's the thing that's got to be resolved, particularly at the college level, before we get started.
Well, you'll have ESPN cameras live for the Spanish Fort St. Paul game on Friday night. So hopefully everybody there will be wearing their mask and social distancing.
Hey, watch that game.
It'll look good on national TV, I hope.
We all remember Roger Schultz from when he worked for Troy Athletics. His son, who's got a commitment to Troy University, is the starting center for St. Paul. I think he's number 58 or 68. So you look for him when you watch that game.
All right, how about this, ladies and gentlemen? This weekend on Troy Cablevision, you've got Charles Henderson High School hosting Catholic High School from Veterans Stadium in Troy. That game's going to be live on Facebook. And Brantley against Luverne. Luverne traveling to Brantley in a huge county rival game. And that game will also be on Facebook live from Bulldog Stadium in Brantley. So,
what about the Crenshaw Christian Bible Bars game? There'll be a lot of people wanting to watch that.
Well, but those two, the Charles Henderson Catholic game and Brantley Luverne game, are 2 games that will be televised. One game will be on Channel 2, and the other game will be on Channel 10. How about that?
That's awesome.
So, Max, what did you think of Troy's schedule once they finally released it on Friday? Were you impressed with what Brent Jones did?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised they got that kind of schedule. And I think now that, very little information is coming about the progress of the team, because they haven't played yet, and we'll see. But here's where we go when the polls come out. With that strength of schedule that Troy's required, let's just say, if Chip does a really good job and they come along and end up this year with a 10-2 record. How does that compare with some of these teams? And certainly I hope they go plug in these teams that don't. The preseason polls had Ohio State and a couple of kids on those polls that on the All-American team, the teams aren't even going to play. How are they going to adjust that to a team that plays 10 games or a team that plays 8 games?
Yeah, I know it.
Actually, USA Today has come out with a new poll with the teams that are going to play. They have adjusted. Appalachian State was number 13. Lafayette was number 22, and then Troy was number 49.
Yeah. Out of about how many now? About 80.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see how they can list if they don't play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they will. But then we get into, is it a percentage of wins? Let's say a team that plays 8 games goes 8-0, and a team that plays 10 games goes 8-2.
Yeah.
Will it be the 8-0 team over the 10-2 team?
I've said you could have an SEC team that's 8-2 or 7-3 be one of the best teams in the country.
You know,
Urban Meyer, the former Florida coach and Ohio State coach, has come out and said he doesn't think any SEC team will be 9-1. He thinks everybody will have at least 2 losses, which I don't think that'll happen.
Could be, though.
I think there's a couple got a chance to be 9-1.
Yeah.
But you know, Urban's trying to keep his name on the national scene. I was on last night with Buddy Martin, who did Urban's book, by the way, and we got into that conversation. And that, you know, Urban's looking for that. He don't want to go back on the field, but he wants to keep his name out there. So we're going to see remarks from him throughout the year, good, bad, or otherwise.
Yeah. How would you like to be an Ohio State, or Nebraska, or Michigan State, or Michigan, or Wisconsin fan,
Right.
and watching all these games on, and you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs?
Not going to like it.
Well, I think the Ohio State people are the one because you know I saw one poll, one article came out recently said that if Ohio State played in the SEC, they'd be a 10-point favorite over everybody in the conference.
Yeah.
So I mean, they think they're that good.
Don't you think that quarterback though feels like he's been done wrong? You know,
Well,
as good as he is, you know.
That's another whole story. He shouldn't have left Georgia.
Yeah, that's right.
That was his choice.
That's right. And that big kid would have stayed at Wake Forest. Let me tell you, this big kid that's transferring Wake Forest gonna make them forget about everybody. He's a real deal out here.
And they won the one to Georgia.
JT Daniels, the transfer from USC, that was a 5-star. You know, he was originally starting at USC and then got beat out. But you got 2 quarterbacks in Georgia.
But neither one of them face the SEC defense.
Yeah, that's right.
How good they are. And you got to remember Georgia. They lost 3 starting offensive front. They lost their coordinators on both sides of the ball, and then a new quarterback coming in.
Yeah.
Georgia's going to have 2 losses, guys. I'm going to tell you that.
Hey, they got Scott Cochran, though. That's all they need.
Yeah, to cheer him on.
Yeah. You better let him do that. You think he'll be on the jumbo screen doing yeah over there?
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
After this guy, I haven't seen Scott Cochran line up and put the signal yet.
Yeah, that's right.
What does he do? Is he a special teams coach, a coordinator?
No, he's a strength
He's
coach.
a special teams coordinator, I think.
No, he's a coach now, Mike.
Okay,
He's no longer a
He's
strength.
on the field. He's not in the weight room.
Oh man, that is something. Well, I don't know exactly what to say about whether or not he's the difference in winning and losing, but I know this, that everybody's excited. But the same thing that gets me more than anything, Max, is there are 30 more days before the SEC even hits the field. I mean, what are these kids are going to do? They got to be going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they practice every day, Mike.
I know, and don't you know they're sick of it too? They're sick of it.
Well,
Yep.
you know, that's part of the drill. I can promise you, those coaches will find something.
They won't even let them go to the picture show.
They've adjusted the practice schedules. I think that you get at least 2 days off. Aren't I right, Mike? Michael or Max?
But what frightens me, I hope they don't let them go home, because that's where they get contaminated and bring it back.
Exactly. This thing's still a mess. It's a logistics mess. I know that. And
my whole point is that we're hearing about all these new cases, but I haven't seen any evidence that these new cases are people that are actually getting sick, or going to the hospital. They're carriers, like Max said, but the headlines are scary, that when you see new cases.
Yeah, exactly right.
What they do, they play on the fear factor, Bill. They play on that because you don't really know internally, who's going to not survive the thing. And of course, we know what the what the records all show is, it's people my age and up with some pre-existing conditions already. That's 90% of the ones that pass away and don't make it. But sometimes even the media is reluctant to give you all those details. That 95% of those kids that are college-age kids, no different than having a bad cold or a mild case of the flu. And but they may give it to somebody that has an underlying health problem that don't make it.
Yeah.
So, it's the uncertainty of not knowing, I think, more than you. And the media plays on the fear factor, I'll tell you.
No question about it. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back. Hey, how about it? War Eagle. War Eagle, the Auburn Tigers getting ready for the 2020 football season from Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn, Alabama. It's going to be a lot of changes to be made, a lot of corrections to be met. And ladies and gentlemen, we know one thing. Auburn's going to play football. Auburn's going to win the football game, Mike. We'll be back.
Right here, right now. It's a double dose of savings. Yes. Summer clearance event savings. Plus Labor Day savings. 2020 Wranglers. Start at $289 a month. 2020 Ram 1500. Save it to $17,377. The biggest selection. Better discount. Best deal. New 2020 Jeep Cherokee. Save up to $10,000. Save over $9,800 on new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Bad credit? No credit? It doesn't matter. Shop us at PremierTroy.com and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Know-how, Napa Know-How. Our history is woven with the stories of those we serve. At Max, we've been a good community partner for 65 years. Max is dedicated to providing dependable financial services and to supporting our communities. We volunteer our time and share our resources. As a credit union, we've returned millions of dollars back to our members, local nonprofits, and small businesses. Max is honored to be a part of your story. We look forward to serving you for years to come.
Here at Bill Jackson Chevrolet in Troy, we've been doing business the right way for 31 years. But don't take our word for it. We feel our customers express it the best.
Been honest in everything we've discussed with them.
When they say Jackson Satisfaction, they really mean it. The Jackson Satisfaction is real.
By its very nature, doing big things takes resilience and strength. You did the hard part. You did it, and we'll go farther still. Max is proud to be your champion, removing obstacles that get in your way. We make technology easy, saving and funds access uncomplicated, and provide help when and how you want it. You control your money with expert guidance from Max Credit Union. Smart money made simple.
You got to stay where you are.
Back to our show brought to you by Max Federal Credit Union. We're on the bypass right here in Troy, and of course for mortgages or also are you wanting to borrow money on a brand new car or truck, they're the place to go right now. And we appreciate Max Federal Credit Union. And also Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. They've got an overstock sale right now, one of the biggest sales in their history. Prices have never been lower, and the sale ends on Monday. So get out there, ladies and gentlemen, because nobody, I'm talking about nobody, beats the Premier deal. Nobody, and we appreciate their support. And in the day's paper today, a tremendous selection of what I call steals when it comes to cars and trucks, new and used. A great selection to choose from. Right now, a 2020 Ram 1500 Bighorn Quad Cab 4x4. You're not going to get any better than this, and you can save close to $15,000 on a brand new one today. Of course, Max Howell, noted coach and analyst, ladies and gentlemen, calling from the big town of Fulton, Mississippi. And they had to holler at you to tell you had a phone call this morning. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Mike, I think our whole society is changing. And I was going to come back with a comment just a moment ago before we had to go to break, is that I think all the kids in the schools that were transferring and the teams that want to pull out of the league, as long as this thing will be contained at this level this year, I think they can overcome that. Now, you let it go into next year, I think you're going to see some conference realignment. I think you're going to see a lot of administrative changes. Financially, a lot of these schools are going to really be suffering for the number of programs they can offer because they didn't have the income coming in off the gate receipts this year to fund them. There's a lot of changes if this thing lasts over a year or two at the level that it is today. Again, with social media like it is, with the media taking the stance it takes with an election year coming up, I'm going to be really, really after November just to see how the whole situation with the virus is handled.
I want you to hear this, and it could be like this, some of these rules and regulations. You can have a tent, but you can't have 9 people under it. You're going to have a guy saying, all right, you're going to have to get out of that tent because you're going to have 9 there. All right, hey, look, you folks right here, you can have 2 more. You got 7 in there now. You can have 2 more. Do you see somebody having to control how many people should go into a tent?
They call them COVID cops. You got to police all the mandates.
And it doesn't say precisely, but I don't think you can grill a hamburger outside of the stadium. I'm not sure, though.
At the University of Alabama, they're sicking the Tuscaloosa Police Department on off-campus dorms and houses to monitor what these kids are doing.
What I'm saying, if they don't do it, well, officer, if I don't do it, are you going to put me in jail for standing next to this tent?
Yeah. Or if they don't do it, you got to have some way to enforce it with some teeth, right?
And I could also see
the police in America already have enough issues going on in the world. Surely people will do the right thing at football games and respect.
But you're right. You're going to have people arrested because somebody has 11 people in their tent instead of 10.
Exactly right.
I'm for whatever rules that they put out there. I mean, if people want to go to games, surely they'll be responsible enough to do the right thing. I mean, the only problem is when you're dealing with alcohol, usually with a lot of tailgating, so that could be a problem.
You got alcohol played into that, the motion and all that stuff. That's a no-win situation, I'm going to tell you.
Exactly.
And I think the campus, the administration knows that. I think they got their fingers crossed and hoping that nothing like that happens. But we've all been around situations like that. You start mixing alcohol in the middle of the day, but in a 90-degree weather. I don't think it can be a pretty sight, to tell you the truth.
Well, you look at Auburn; they have a huge walk. When their players walk into the stadium. I know at Troy they've shut it down. You can't have a walk now at Troy. But they just think just thousands and thousands of people go to Auburn just to stand that Tiger Walk and touch those guys. And I don't know. I'm thinking they've shut it down at Auburn too. I don't know the exact ruling there now.
I think Auburn almost got that tradition going. They have a great walk.
And of course, what I'm saying, how do you govern something like that? All right, you come on through, and now you come on.
Well, they'll put up police barricades, and they'll have police lining. And when people start trying to get close to those barricades, they'll say, "Move back."
And I'm not trying to be funny, but what I'm saying, it's going to be hard to
monitor it.
Monitor it. You're exactly right. No question about it.
Police everything.
And Ole Miss, Max, you've seen this many times. They have such a huge gathering, and there's no way in the world those guys can operate without being less than 6 feet from each other.
But here's the thing they've already done. Over here, the way they're approaching it, they're going to only issue so many tickets to the game. If you don't have a ticket when you get there, you're not going to get in the game, first of all. And then they're also going to disperse the number of people that can come on campus at all. So, because they don't want any tailgating, any groups gathering whatsoever. And, that's what they're trying to monitor the numbers by either price control of the tickets and or selection process. And there's nowhere I've seen publicized yet on the ticket allocations about students. They go into the Alabama list in there,
Oh, I saw it, Max. It's like reading a algebraic equation to see the formula they have, and I mean, and it's like fifth-year seniors get a priority, and then and then they have formulas for all of it, and then lotteries, and you can go to 2 games or 3 games. It's so detailed. I don't know how they're going to.
I wonder how these big banks and the people that own and these multimillionaires have these boxes and all that. How will that? Will there be a man standing at the door and saying, "All right, there's 9 of y'all in here right now, or there's 13 of y'all in here, 3 have you had to leave"?
Might they go do that before they get on the elevator to go up to the boxes? They don't even let them up there.
You know, and I went on the students. Do you really want to go to the game if you can't be with your friends? I cut some slack to these high school kids that are being scolded because they're in the student section next to their buddies. I mean, do we want them all 6 feet, 12 feet apart in math? I mean, I told my wife the other day, well, how do you talk to your buddy who's 12 feet away when you got a mask on, he's got a mask at the game? It's just...
And a guy was asking me, why don't they put up these giant screens outside the stadium? Well, you know, if they do that, they're losing revenue from people buying tickets. You know, and they say they're going to sell tickets every week. You know, like you know, I'm sure you season ticket guys can get
well,
there up front, but the regular person will be standing in line to get tickets. It could be really a huge crowd.
There's a difference between the student tickets and the regular fan tickets. The regular fan can buy blocks of 4 or 6 for your friends and family, right? The assumption being that if you're sitting next to your wife and child, y'all have already been close to each other, so there's no risk. Well, the students aren't going to be able to buy 5 or 6 blocks, you know. So you're really telling the students that they've got to be 6 feet apart from every other student, which is bizarre.
Well, I think it's going to be how many is even going to be available to them.
Yeah.
I think those numbers will be released like on Monday before the next Saturday, so they can make their own individual plans. It's going to be completely different. And then, as we've all said, the monitoring of it is where the headache's going to come.
We have a big group that comes to all the Troy games. Been doing it for years. The Northwest Florida group, the Bull Walden, Tamont City. They have a huge alumni base there. And they come and they cook out and have a good time. I think everything is fine as long as it's not sponsored by the university or anything like that. It would be up to each individual person coming to the game to bring their own tents and bring their own tables and chairs and just set up, and it would be their...
They've already, Mike, I thought I read where the Troy's always limited to the number of tents they're going to put up. They've already told us.
Oh yeah, they have, and the number of people that can be under the tents. But
right.
You know, and then another thing, you would think that, well, if I go off campus, so like you're up on George Wallace Drive and you got on University Drive and you went all the way down to the end of it, that'd be off campus. Could you put up a tent there?
Yeah,
yeah.
There's so many millions of issues that could come up.
And these are all.
They better figure it out. Troy plays in 10 days.
That is unreal. And how about this? And I'm going to say it again. Alabama, Auburn, and all the SECs don't play until 30 days from now. Troy can look forward to this coming weekend with a mock scrimmage. And then on Thursday of next week or Wednesday next week, they start getting ready to go to battle.
I just want to know when they're going to give Max his Hall of Fame ring so he can start picking his nose and showing off that beautiful ring.
I think they're going to mail it to us.
Yeah.
Are they going to mail it to you now?
But I will tell you something about your ring that the national championship ring in '68 that Troy won. That's one of the best looking rings and most expensive ring that they've ever done for a championship at Troy. That was a real ring right there. It was gold. The value of your ring compared to the value of these rings I carry here are, gosh, probably 10 times the value.
You know, I'm actually being inducted in the Hall of Fame. I was watching Troy University TV the other night, and they replayed about 50 of these little videos of the past inductees.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best 2 hours I've spent watching TV. Barry McKnight narrated all of them, and so you had interviews with, people, and I thought I knew all about Troy athletics, but I didn't.
Yeah.
There were a lot of these people I did not know their story.
I wonder would they run that again.
I hope they run it all the time. It's just, and it probably wasn't all of them, but I saw about 30 of these videos of people that have been inducted in previous years. Fascinating.
And some of them are your old friends, all the way back to Bubba Merritt. Can you believe a guy named Francis is in our Hall of Fame?
Well, if you know Bubba very well, he lived beyond his name, Mike.
Yeah. And then, of course, there was another great guy named Francis. Name him, y'all. Do y'all know?
I'm going to tell you.
There's another great player that played football named Francis. Who was it?
I don't know who.
Francis Tarkenton.
Oh, yeah, Francis Tarkenton. My dad played against Francis Tarkenton.
You remember that? You remember Francis Tarkenton, Max? Fran Tarkenton.
He's got it.
He was like a little Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel. But I'll give you an example of these Hall of Fame inductions. You'll remember this guy's name, Mike. I didn't know. It was a defensive back on that 68 national championship team that said that he had discipline issues in college in high school, and wasn't even sure. And his high school coach convinced the coaches at Troy to give him a chance. Well, he comes over to Troy the first day. He's a freshman, doesn't know anybody. He's from the Wiregrass. Maybe he knew a few people. And he's trying to get in line to get his jersey and equipment with the other new players. And some coach says, "What are you doing here? Get out of here." He didn't know what was going on. And so he left. And then he said, "Well, I'm not leaving." Then he comes back and gets closer to where he's going to get his equipment. That guy said, "I told you now, get out of here. You're not supposed to be here." And so that time he left, got back in the car, and he was saying, "Well, heck, I don't want my parents to think that I've quit already. I'll stay in a hotel in Troy for a week or so and then go home." And he's sitting there thinking about what in the world he's going to do. Then another assistant coach who kind of recruited him comes and sees him in the car and says, "What in the world are you doing, son? Get out there." And he says, "Well, somebody told me I couldn't be there." You know who that was?
Ronnie Shelley.
It was John Doc Anderson that was just messing with him. That was just playing joke, pulling a joke on him. And this guy
it was Ronnie Shelley, though, wasn't it?
There's some defensive back that ended up with like 20 interceptions in his career.
Yeah, that was Shelley, yeah.
So, I said, "Doc Anderson, you almost cost Troy an All-American."
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, Doc was bad about that back then. He ran off a lot of folks back then. You remember that?
You've got to remember, guys, John walks to the beat of a different
You're right. And when he was young, y'all just think he was bad now. When he was young, he was really bad.
Well, that's the type of stories you heard, on these videos. I saw Amy, Jim Wright's daddy, that was the great basketball player.
Paul Word, yeah.
I got some of his story.
What a great player. Oh, yeah. They've done a super job with this Hall of Fame. And, of course, we want to go ahead and get Barney Burnett in there and Max in there. And
Max is in there.
I know, but what I'm saying, they're in there, but they haven't had the induction ceremony.
I saw a video on Ronnie Mobley. I learned stuff about Ronnie Mobley I hadn't learned.
Oh, yeah.
How great he was, a golfer.
No question about it. Some great ones, no question about it. Max Howell is our guest today. Max, what does Wimp think about all this stuff, Max?
Man, they just like we are. They go day by day. They're trying to teach you out. And of course, Barry lives in Tuscaloosa, his son, with Birmingham. But, they're trying to stay up. They keep up a good line of guests that will do like I do with you guys. That they'll bring, whatever additional information. They're trying to keep their hand right in the middle of what Alabama's doing. And Coach Saban's kind of shutting down any information coming out. They don't get the number of potential cases or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm thinking that Alabama and Auburn, if they're smart, would just actually, at a certain time, just lock the doors on these players and not let them go out and be amongst all those other guys.
Like now. All of them's classes are virtual.
It's almost like they're in prison, aren't they?
Somebody made that point on social media.
Really, they're not supposed to leave. So
you're going to college, you're paying your tuition, some of them are paying sorority and fraternity dues, but they're not. Most of the regular students aren't going to class, so that they're going to Tuscaloosa to sit in their dorm room or their apartment and take classes from their couch in their apartment. It's bizarre.
Exactly. And Max, we asked this question yesterday, and you might have just asked it, but these kids are not going to class, are they? What do you think?
No, well, I think most of them there will do the virtual thing. The thing I'm concerned is when the sun goes down, how many of them get together in individual groups and all? Because you got to remember, these are 18 to 20-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
They didn't come to college to sit in the dorm room all day.
That's right.
They want a hamburger. Yeah.
They want.
So they gonna go out, and that's where the concern comes on campus when they open the campuses back up.
You can't prevent that.
Yeah.
And I wonder about these, getting back to the student sections and the scolding that the high school kids got for going and cheering on their team. And they were supposed to be socially distanced and wearing a mask. Well, that's fine in the stadium, but did you think any of those kids were doing that before they got to the stadium or after they left the stadium? They were right clustered together next to their buddies again. So
Exactly right. Of course,
I think the emotion that goes with football just generates that. I mean, how you gonna jump up and down and scream and all that sitting over there by yourself?
Yeah.
I think that's where the really concern is, and again, the monitoring of it is what, to me, is going to be the biggest. Let's just say we'll take Troy, for example. Let's say that they get the game going, they're playing a big game on campus, and they got their social distance tickets, and then the game starts, and the game's tied, and before halftime or whatever. Don't tell me you're going to have 80 kids gathered together, jumping up and down, screaming. And then the next week, and let's say out of that group, 50 people come down and test positive the next week. Are they going to let them back in the stadium to do the same thing again? I'm going to say they shut the stadium down if that happens.
Yeah.
You know what? They might shut down, even visiting with the parents if you don't watch it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many things that hadn't been addressed yet, and I'm sure they're talking about it.
Yeah.
They just hadn't put it out to the public as to the way it's going to be handled.
Boy, I tell you, it's a logistics nightmare, and I feel for these guys like Brent Jones and the athletic director, who's done a super job to get Troy a 12-game schedule. A lot of schools out there would love to have a 12-game schedule. Max, something that we brought up yesterday on the show, and Mike, you can verify this. Brigham Young, of course, who's going to be Troy's third or fourth opponent out there in Provo, does not have a full schedule of teams to play. Is that right?
See, I haven't read that. I've not read the schedule. Of course, that's a long trip. How many Troy folks are going to make that trip?
I don't know. My daughter called me up last night and said, "You want me to buy us 2 airplane tickets?" And sure I would. If it weren't for this virus, I'd jump all over it, go out there early and see that part of the country.
I'd love to see it.
But to be honest with you, I think it'd be taking a chance. I really do.
Well, you need to be
go
careful.
through a lot of airports and to go through.
But a 25 or 35 or 40-year-old doing it, I would do it. But I mean, some people got to be extra careful. I agree. I'd love to go out there and see it.
Yeah.
And y'all hit me on this now. Troy gets a 12-game schedule, what, 6 home games. If they shut it down, what is that going to matter if there's no income from it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. And
I mean, matter of fact, why would you play? Because it costs money to put on these games.
Absolutely.
You're losing money.
Yeah. Troy's team has been in camp, I would say 2 months almost. I mean, they've been here a long time. They've been here ever since certain parts of, just working out and all that. These kids, I don't see how they do it. I really don't.
The travel, I've never got it. I mean, if Troy goes to BYU, they're going to charter an airplane, right?
I'm sure they will. Yeah,
they'll have their own airplane. The airline will, disinfect that airplane before they got on it. And then they'll be on the airplane around the exact same people they're around 4 hours every day with. So I don't see the risk of getting on the airplane.
And another thing, you would think, Max, they would need 2 airplanes instead of 1. What do you think?
Yeah, Oh yeah, I think you know they aren't gonna let them sit side by side.
Yeah.
You know they'll have one.
But you know,
seat, they'll have one guy sitting in the middle on each row. So you're right. If that goes to the expense, and I don't know what BYU's paying them to come out there, but I hope it covers the expense.
I think that's what Brigham Young will pay for the flight out there, and then their expenses. I think it'd just be expenses, and then come back later on in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, and play Troy at home.
Y'all think about what we're saying. We're saying that, then they're saying you can't sit next to each other in the bus or on an airplane. You're telling people that are hitting each other nonstop for 3 hours in practice every day that suddenly for these 4 hours on that airplane, they can't sit next to somebody.
A friend of mine's got a kid that plays in the Enterprise band. And right now, I think most everybody's shut down going out of town, with these bands. But you take that band like Enterprise, one of the best bands in the country. Instead of having 4 Trailways buses, they'll have 8 or 9, even 10 Trailways buses.
Well, the Trailways bus lines appreciate this. Yeah.
Or whoever, what's the other one down in Dothan, you can throw it in there too. But, it's going to cost us I don't even know if they'll even allow a visiting band to go on a trip. I don't even know how that works.
I would think the bands going on road trips is over. Yeah.
But
I think it is too. I hadn't read anything about it, but I agree with you. I don't think bands are going to travel. Bands as big as Troy's, for example.
Yeah.
In no way they're going to travel to Provo, Utah.
And no question about it.
They won't even let them travel to Mobile.
Of course, the South Alabama game, they would normally take their band, and I don't even know if they would let them take a pep band or not.
Maybe a pep band if they go on their own. Yeah.
So a lot of the pageantry's gone too, Max. I know that that doesn't sound like much, but I tell you what, as many as half the people that come to a Troy game is going to see that band. Of course, they will be in the south end of the
some
stadium.
of my great memories of playing sports aren't the games. It's the celebrations and the bus rides after the games, singing on the bus and joking with your friends.
Right.
That might be gone.
Yeah. We're going to take a short break. Our show is brought to you by Troy Bank and Trust Company, the only bank you'll ever need now with 13 locations to choose from. And, of course, we appreciate them. Bill Jackson Chevrolet Ford in Troy, Alabama, got great deals going on right now at Bill Jackson Chevrolet, Bill Jackson Ford in Troy. And, of course, Cinco Drugs, been there a long time. We appreciate them, as do the Witherington Group. Remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Witherington Group right here in Troy. We'll be back in just a moment with Today in L.A.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
By its very nature, doing big things takes resilience and strength. You did the hard part. You did it, and we'll go farther still. Max is proud to be your champion, removing obstacles that get in your way. We make technology easy, saving and funds access uncomplicated, and provide help when and how you want it. You control your money with expert guidance from Max Credit Union. Smart money made simple.
Right here, right now. It's a double dose of savings. Yes. Summer clearance event savings. Plus Labor Day savings. 2020 Wranglers. Start at $289 a month. 2020 Ram 1500. Save it to $17,377. The biggest selection. Better discount. Best deal. New 2020 Jeep Cherokee. Save up to $10,000. Save over $9,800 on new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Bad credit, no credit, it doesn't matter. Shop us at PremierTroy.com and save thousands. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
At the Piggly Wiggly, we proudly support our local farmers and bring you the best they have to offer, all at cost plus 10%. When you shop local, you reinvest in your community. Remember, buy local, shop local. Piggly Wiggly, local since forever.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. What a deal. Yes, this is Today in L.A. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, Johnny.
Johnny, hold on 1 minute. We'll bring Max Howell in here. I'll be right back with you if you don't mind. Okay, Max, do we have you?
I'm here. Yeah.
Got you, Johnny?
We're here.
Johnny Williams with the Camellia Bowl is on the line. Max, you don't get two gurus like you two on the air at the same time.
We all clamored to get on the show, Mike.
Johnny, we got Max Howell on the show. We got, of course, Johnny Williams, the executive director of the.
Yep. Good to hear you too, Mike.
Of course, Johnny's got a football game that he's sponsoring this weekend. Johnny, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's the 6th annual FCS Kickoff Game from historical Crampton Bowl here in Montgomery. 8 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. It's the first college football game in America this year, and we're just proud to be a part of it. Got Central Arkansas coming in here to play Austin Peay.
Let's go, P. Let's go, P.
Yeah, 2 teams last year ranked in the top 10, and both teams picked to win their conference. Central Arkansas picked to win the Southland Conference, which Troy used to be a member of, Mike.
That's right.
And then we got Austin Peay picked to win the Ohio Valley Conference. So
great.
So we get some football finally to watch.
Boy, that's exciting. And Johnny Williams, of course, this is ESPN, or is this sponsoring this game, or what?
Yes, ESPN owns the rights to the game. The NCAA, about 6 years ago, they passed a rule to try to elevate the other divisions. You know, division FBS gets all the 99% of the exposure. So they put a rule in place if a FCS team, which is the old 1AA, can get a national broadcast event, they play week 0, a week before the regular season. And, like I said, this is the 4th year the game has been in Montgomery. 6th year the game's been in existence. So we're just excited to have this game, and especially the unique circumstances about sports in our country today. So it will be the first event to have fans. You know, we'll have a couple thousand fans in the game. So we're really excited that goes well, because I know a lot of universities around the country are planning on introducing fans back to their campus. So we're just excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, Johnny, I think really we were talking about that prior to you coming on. I think there'll be a lot of universities watching how you guys handle that. Not so much the game itself, we know that, but how you going to handle crowd control? How many tickets are issued? You know, what about social? You know, what about the distancing? Give us just a brief overview of how that game plan is put together.
Yeah, we did. Matter of fact, we did not have any public sales for the game. We are distribute our tickets to our sponsors, and currently we've got about 2,500 tickets out on the market, which is about 12% of the Crampton Bowl capacity as far as brand new seats. And the way our ticket system works, we're able to scatter the tickets. We skip it every 3 rows, so there'll be 2 blank rows in front of you, and then each, which be 2 tickets, 4 tickets, 6 tickets, every how many tickets we issue, then we skip 4 more seats. So we keep a 6-foot radius around a group of people. You're allowed to be within your group, and a group can be as large as 10 people under Alabama law and our regulations currently. But they do add, and there's no capacity limit. It's just a matter of being able to keep 6-foot separation between the groups. So that's why you're going to see probably I know Alabama and Auburn look in the 20% range, maybe 18%. Just depends on how you launch your tickets out. Now, we're going to mandate masks must be worn to enter the game, which is also current policy here in Montgomery. And we'll ask you also maintain your mask on anytime you're moving around. You're going up the restroom, concessions. Now, if you're sitting in your seat, you will be allowed to take your mask off and watch the game.
All right.
All right.
We'll have a little activation with that, but I think most schools are going to do it that way. And then we're going to have increased ushers and people around just to try to encourage people to be able to maintain your social distancing, protect your own health, basically.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel comfortable where you're sitting, go to an usher and we'll help you find a better spot in the stadium where you get a little bit further separation. And so we're optimistic. Disney, which is our lead that owns ESPN, and they've been very involved with us establishing our social distancing policy, and we've shared it with a lot of the schools, and we're glad to share it with anybody. It's just going to take a lot of common sense, because as we all realize, probably, this is not just going to probably go away. It's going to maybe be with us for a year or two, and hopefully no longer than that. But we've got to learn to deal with it and just shut everything down. I think our approach is we got to attack it with caution, but concerned, with our eyes wide open. But we got to move ahead. You know what I'm saying, guys? So
Johnny, the entire nation is watching y'all. The entire nation. I mean, they are going to be watching what y'all do.
All right.
But here's the other thing. Yeah, John, here's the other thing that I see. You guys can do that because you're a neutral site. Where my concern is when you get on the campus with student bodies, what do you do about student tickets? Because that's the last thing they're going to address there. And then what do you do about social distance? I made the comment just a moment ago. I'm in Mississippi, and I know high school football started last week. The news up here only showed the incident down at Fairhope, where Fairhope and Spanish Ford played, and it's all over the sports news up here about how the kids just got together and, the principal had to come over to campus. What does that do on the college campus? When you get a bunch of college kids there.
Right. Yeah, and here's what I think is probably going to finally happen. If we're going to have to enforce our policies, so we're probably going to have to ask the people to leave the gate at some ports of universities. I'm very close to the University of Alabama as far as I've been a former employee there and working closely with them, and I'm also a ticket holder there. They're actually going to take and do basically what we're doing. They're going to keep 6-foot separation. You'll have a assigned seat, and you'll be required to stay in those seats. Now, if I was an AD at a local school like Charles Henderson or somewhere, and I don't have a fancy ticket system, what I would personally do is go in and mark seats that are accessible you can sit in. In other words, put 4 seats together and then skip 6 seats, put 4 more seats. Give people a gauge in a general admission setting, they can spread out. And then also the students, you're correct. They're not paying attention. I know a high school association throughout the state in Alabama this past weekend had a lot of complaints, and it's the students. They think they're invincible, but they're a carrier. They may be invincible, but they can give back those gifts to you and I. That's why we're concerned about this infection, getting around us. And they're just going to have to monitor those areas. They're going to have to enforce some policies and scatter them out. I mean, if they're not, then they'll lose the ability to have high school football or college football. You don't learn to manage these crowds.
Very important, Johnny. Are they going to do the temperature, everybody's temperature before they go in the gate?
We're not doing it at the gate, but we will be doing it at the press box in our suite area. Anybody's in a closed-in area, we'll have their temperature checked before you're allowed to go into those areas. And our press box in that area, we have a few suites at a club level. We're operating at 50% of the fire code. So people can figure out what the fire code restrictions are for their facility size per room, and that's where we're going. No more than 50, preferably lower than that, as far as capacity.
Is that what the Stadium Club is going to do in Troy?
Yeah, I know this. The Stadium Club is going to open 3 hours ahead of time instead of 2 hours ahead of time here in Troy to alleviate some of the problems. Johnny, I hate to say this. I hate to ask this question, but what are we going to do when we go to the bathroom, Johnny? Are they going to have to be in line, or what? How's it going to work?
Yes, we're going to have monitors there. We'll only allow so many people at a time, and we will have 6-foot intervals. We'll constantly be cleaning our restrooms here throughout the game. And we're going to have a lot of PA announcements asking people to maintain and help monitor your safety, especially when the game's going to be open. Everybody doesn't need to move out at one time. We're going to ask people to take time to leave and exit the game. And that's one area we're really concerned about, is people that, when they get tired and ready to go home, everybody just rushes to the portal or the exit. Get people in, I think, so we fine. Move around so we fine. All of our food has got to be pre-wrapped and
course, this game will be played Saturday night in Crampton Bowl in Montgomery, Alabama. It's 8 o'clock kickoff. Can anybody walk up to the ticket office and buy a ticket?
No tickets are for sale.
Oh, boy.
It's sellable. We're sold out, basically, what we're saying. Man.
All right, so...
We issued all of our tickets, about 2,500 tickets already out there. That's the crowd we're going to manage.
Okay, but now, how do you get a ticket?
Well, I've got Guardian Credit Union, the City of Montgomery, Coca-Cola, different sponsors.
Yeah, I got you.
For giving tickets.
How about hospitality areas? Will you have any hospitality areas?
Yes, we will. People who have like our ESPN phone, they have their own concession basically area where they'll be allowed to walk in. We'll have a bar area, and then we'll also have a food dispensing area where we'll be issuing hamburgers and hot dogs and prepackaged cookies and things like that. Candy they can take with them and go back to their seat.
Yeah. Okay, and boy, I tell you what,
Johnny,
this is
I
great
can't imagine
information.
the planning and logistics that's gone into this. You've been a busy man.
Max, did you have any idea you're going to be able to get a one-on-one experience? Because, man, I hate to say this again, Johnny, everybody in the country is going to be watching you and watch y'all how y'all run this thing.
Well, that's good. We're not scared, Mike. We're moving ahead, man.
Well, that's our motto. Our motto here is don't be scared, be
prepared.
Prepared, yeah.
That's right. Hey, have a plan and work your plan. That's what we're doing. That's what athletics teaches you.
Yeah.
You go out, practice, you repeat, you learn your play.
Well, let me ask you about these teams. Do they come in early? How early do they come in?
They're coming in Friday, and they will be here just like a normal away game, like most teams would do.
So you have two hotels.
Now, here's another piece of it. We're not allowing the fans to attend the game at all.
Not even a pep band?
Not even a pep band. And here's why. Research is coming back that the band playing those instruments, it's an airborne disease, and it was blowing out 20 or 30, 50 feet in front of the kids, blowing those horns and instruments.
Yeah.
So they decided not to even let them stay in the grandstands. Now, you'll see universities around the country will probably let them stay in the stands, but I advise people, do not get in front of bands. And also, there will be we're not allowed any band participation on the field because pregame or halftime, because logistically getting them off the field and them all watching the sidelines, and you've all been there around athletics. It's no way to keep social distance. So it's just a bad part of it. Now we do have a tape. We do have music from each school. The band's playing. It will be playing on the video board when they score. We're just trying to improvise. We're just having to adjust as we go. But there's a lot of issues around bands. This is such an airborne disease.
How about people that are chartering buses or things like that? Or how's that going to be handled?
Oh, that'd be fine. That's just normal. Now, we're not allowed any tailgating around the stadium. No tailgating.
Yeah.
Well, normally we have a fan fest. We put a stage up and have music and really encourage it. But it goes back to what Max was saying. We don't want to create an atmosphere for a bunch of people wired up together.
Yeah. Well, like the Sound of the South, you know how big that is in Troy, the Sound of the South. Right now they're scheduled to set up in the south end zone 6 feet apart, and it's going to cover a huge area. But now most of the music is blown out straight ahead onto the playing field and out the other end of the stadium. How does that work?
Well, I mean, that's just, that's legal, but I'm just saying, from just the knowledge I've learned over the last 3 or 4 months, you need to be very concerned about being in a tight space where there's limited airflow.
I got you.
Be very concerned. Don't go in places where it's really crowded. That's why bars, people congregate together. That's why we're really worried about the wintertime when people start bunching back up together.
Well,
hey, outside going to football games, I think that's going to be one of the safest things you can do, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's good. As long as everything's inside. These schools that have indoor facilities, they have a lot more to be concerned about, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and that's why we're really concerned as we move down to the sports season about basketball. And so
Johnny, good luck this weekend on the first college football game of the year. So it's going to be coming to you from
what TV stations are going to be on channel?
ESPN.
The main ESPN. There you go, everybody.
Boy, that is something. Hey, I bet you those two schools are excited, Johnny.
Oh, no. People, matter of fact, Clay Travis on Fox yesterday, I don't know if y'all have ever listened to him. He announced it would be the highest rated FCS game of all time.
That's Division I AA, yeah.
He's probably right, but let me say, you guys are my friends, so if you'd like to attend this game, y'all just reach out to me. It would be my guest. Okay?
Well, I tell you what, and I do appreciate you very much, Johnny, and good luck to you.
This is a big deal right here.
And Max, I know you got a kick out of this morning.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah. I did parting. I just want to lay this out, Johnny. Going back to both our backgrounds, being on the sideline, particularly with the team itself, with the lack of emotion coming from the stands, I think that's going to play a part in close ball games. That old home field advantage thing is going out the window.
No doubt. I agree with you. Yep, all the way around. You know, Jeff Valley's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, thank you so much. And Max Howell, thank you so much. And Johnny, we appreciate your time. Good luck to you. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've enjoyed today's show. See you tomorrow bright and early.